NCIS, Sydney's biggest fan complaint could be fixed with a simple NCIS cameo in Season 2. As an NCIS spin-off, NCIS, Sydney has been largely overlooked compared to its predecessors. As the first show in the franchise to take place outside of American territory, NCIS, Sydney has had to work even harder to prove it is just as good as the other NCIS spin-offs. Fortunately, a cameo from an NCIS Season 22 character could save the show's waning interest. NCIS, Sydney Season 2 has started off strong, continuing the intriguing betrayal from Rankin from the Season 1 finale. As more details of the betrayal unravel, the season's intensity continues to grow. With the intriguing storylines in Season 2 comes the potential for an infamous NCIS Season 22 character to appear as a cameo in the Australian spin-off. NCIS has already secretly introduced the possibility, which makes everything so much more exciting. NCIS, Sydney is too disconnected to the flagship, hence why it's usually overlooked. NCIS, Sydney's stories are often centered on American-Australian relations. A major explanation for NCIS, Sydney's declining ratings and generally lower popularity than other NCIS spin-offs is the fact that it is disconnected from the franchise. It is the only show in the NCIS universe that features NCIS officers partnering with another agency on a regular basis. NCIS, Sydney follows NCIS special agents and AFP officers, whereas usually the NCIS spin-offs center solely on NCIS special agents. While most episodes have featured crimes against Navy personnel, this has not always been the case, as some episodes have more to do with the AFP side of the partnership. That ASA franchise that has found its niche in crimes involving the American military, and more specifically, the American Naval Military. NCIS, Sydney is too different. Its distant location also means that crossovers and cameos with the other NCIS shows are next to impossible. The stories in NCIS, Sydney are exciting, but their distance from the rest of the franchise makes it easy to overlook the show. As a result, this may be why NCIS, Sydney has struggled to gain the popularity that its flagship has received even with its compelling narratives. Deputy Director Gabriel LaRoche's potential NCIS, Sydney Season 2 cameo explained. LaRoche has ties to all NCIS offices. When NCIS Gabriel LaRoche was first introduced in Season 22, it was assumed that he would be a major player in the season, since the NCIS team had suspicions that he was a mole. However, when he was missing for several episodes, only to return in Episode 9, LaRoche revealed that he was visiting every NCIS office in the world. While this means that he may not have been as important as expected in NCIS, his global connection to the other NCIS offices gives him the perfect opportunity to appear in NCIS, Sydney Season 2. Since LaRoche was overseas, he could have met with certain members of the NCIS, Sydney team on his trip. However, since there has been no mention of him in the Australian spin-off so far, LaRoche's meeting could have been with the late Rankin. As the team's former boss, any international correspondence would go through him. LaRoche's cameo could then occur later in Season 2 as more details come out about Rankin's connections. NCIS could also move in advance of NCIS, Sydney. In this case, LaRoche could meet with the NCIS, Sydney characters later in the season as he wraps up his visits to Australia. Either way, an NCIS, Sydney crossover is more than likely, as Olivia Swan has revealed that there will be a reference to the NCIS franchise in the latter half of NCIS, Sydney Season 2. How NCIS, Sydney Season 2 story can connect to what's happening with MCRT. Rankin's boss could be connected to LaRoche. NCIS, Sydney Season 2 started by continuing the story behind Rankin's betrayal. While Rankin's innocence was announced in Episode 1, the season has yet to disclose the boss behind the kidnapping storyline. Meanwhile, NCIS Season 22 has its own mystery. The flagship series has been dealing with an ongoing mole storyline, with LaRoche being the main suspect. Both mystery figures have been working in the background of the shows, but no true identity reveal has been offered yet. With NCIS, Sydney having a potential cameo at the end of Season 2, NCIS mole mystery could intertwine with NCIS, Sydney's Rankin mystery. In both instances, it is clear that there is someone in a high position pulling the strings and trying to control the narrative. As Rankin was just a pawn, having LaRoche be his superior would make perfect sense and align with the storylines that both NCIS and NCIS, Sydney have created.